Republican Gov. Bruce Rauner took aim Tuesday at a potential Democratic rival in next year's general election, accusing businessman J.B. Pritzker of parking his inherited billions offshore to avoid paying taxes, while admitting that some of his own fortune could be socked away there as well. The allegation raised the specter of a governor campaign centered on a theme in which two extremely wealthy candidates debate who's a better businessman, whose wealth is more legitimate, and who was the more responsible citizen in paying taxes, all against a backdrop of growing economic inequity and serious questions about Illinois' financial future. Also joining the fray are less well-off candidates in the race for governor. That includes Republican State Rep. Jean Ives, who's joked that winning the election will require her to beat a millionaire and then a billionaire, and Democratic State Sen. Daniel Biss, whose campaign on Tuesday labeled Rauner and Pritzker two sides of the same shiny gold coin. When Rauner first ran for governor, he was considered the wealthiest person to seek elected office in state history, with a net worth he'd pegged at more than $500 million. He reported $188 million in state taxable income in 2015, and $91 million in 2016. That title now falls to Pritzker, a Hyatt hotel heir and entrepreneur worth an estimated $3.4 billion, according to Forbes magazine. But income tax return cover sheets Pritzker's campaign released last week show a comparatively small income of $15 million in 2016, and even less in the prior 2 years. Like Rauner, Pritzker did not release tax return schedules with more specific information, leaving unanswered questions about whether he's employing the much maligned but often used strategy of avoiding taxes by transferring assets overseas. Until Tuesday, the trading of jabs largely had been confined to competing campaign press releases. Rauner, however, has had a difficult week, saying Monday that he's not in charge of Illinois despite being governor for nearly 3 years, and fending off attacks from Ives, his new Republican primary challenger. Faced with reporters' questions Tuesday, Rauner lobbed his charges against Pritzker, providing no documentation to back them up. The candidate Pritzker inherited over $3 billion, and he and his family has chosen on a massive scale, to hide hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars of their money offshore in accounts outside the United States, Rauner said when asked if he has any of his own money stashed in offshore tax havens. "I mean, you have to be one of the worst investors on the planet to only generate $16 million of income on $3 billion of assets," Rauner continued, a reference to Pritzker's 2016 tax return. "How do you do that? By hiding from taxes and tax avoidance. That's how you do that." Pritzker's campaign declined to explain why Pritzker's taxable income was so low compared with his assets, or to provide details about how the candidate earns his income. Campaign spokeswoman Galia Slayan said Pritzker's offshore investments are in trusts the family established generations ago, and that he'd directed that any disbursements from these trusts to be given to charity. She provided no documentation to assess those claims. Bruce Rauner's accusations are false, and he is lying about J.B.